I like to think I'm pretty independent, but really I am like a puppet on a string. This shows itself in two ways to me as an actor. The first way is that I have very little control over my own career as an actor. So I remember being in New York without very much training and trying to make it. And so it was like pushing this button. And I would push, job. Oh my gosh, the button works, okay. Push. Job. Job! And just no power. And the other way that actors are like puppets, or me as an actor is like a puppet, is that I have no control over the story. So I can throw my heart, mind, body, soul, spirit into playing my objectives and giving it everything I have and breathing life into this character. And Romeo is still going to die every time because that story will make him die. More important than the fact that I am an actor is the fact that I follow Jesus, that I am a Christian. And one thing I love about Christians getting together is the sharing of testimonies. Now, testimony is just a story of how God has worked in someone's life. And I wasn't introduced to this practice until later in life. So I was a freshman at Texas A&M University, and I decided to join this Bible study called doulos. Now, doulos is a Greek word that means bondservant or slave. And so the idea is that we are willing slaves to Jesus, which I know sounds completely terrible from an outside perspective, I get that. But it makes sense within the context of the Christian faith. So I would go to doulos, and every Wednesday night we would meet, and at the beginning there's this big group meeting, and one of the leaders of doulos would get up and they would share their testimony. And it was my favorite part. There's something about people's stories that just drew me in, and I would have gone just for the testimonies. Now, some of the testimonies were really dramatic. So it was like, I used to do all this bad stuff, and then Jesus came into my life, and now I am alive, and I am living a different way. And those are super powerful. But the ones that I really connected to the most were the ones where people said, I grew up as a good Christian girl. I grew up as a good Christian boy. And then I realized Jesus showed me that all of that was just some kind of self-salvation project, and I was just playing the game. And now I realize that only Jesus saves me, and now I have life. And so I thought it might be good to share a little bit of my testimony with you here today. Just little pieces. It's been a life of 33 years, so just little pieces. But the first little story that I want to share is of the first time that I really remember kind of like hearing God's voice or sensing His presence. And so I was at church, and I don't mean at church like the church worship service. I mean like church property. And I was there a lot. My mom was in choir, my dad was in choir, my mom was in handbells, my dad was an elder, my sister and I were involved, so we were on the church property a lot. And so I was sitting there, I think it was about 11, and I was sitting on the grass, and I remember it was like bright green and like Texas firm grass, and the sun was shining, and I was sitting just like this. I can still see it, and I think I was praying or something, and this breeze blew across me. And I just knew, and I can't explain it, I just knew in that breeze that Jesus was saying, I'm with you. I love you. And I was so excited later when I went to my Bible and I looked in Psalm 104 where it says that winds are His messengers. I thought that was so cool. Like, God is so artistic. And there are still times today when, like, I'll be walking around campus and a breeze will blow up, and I know it's Him saying, I'm still with you. I still love you. And it's great. And I feel like everybody has a need to be spoken to in that way. So to get more personal, another part of my testimony, I'm going to start with a poem I really like to kind of get into it and explain it. But there's a poet called Matthew Arnold, and he's this Victorian English poet, and he wrote a poem called The Buried Life. And I'm just going to give you guys the first two stanzas because I think that'll explain things better. Light flows our war of mocking words, and yet, behold, with tears mine eyes are wet. I feel a nameless sadness or me roll. Yes, we know that we can jest. We know that we can smile. But there's a something in this breast to which thy light words bring no rest, and thy gay smiles no anodyne. Give me thy hand, and hush a while, and turn those limpid eyes on mine, and let me read their love, thy inmost soul. Alas, is even love too weak to unlock the heart and let it speak? Are even lovers powerless to reveal to one another what indeed they feel? I knew the mass of men concealed their thoughts for fear that if revealed they would by other men be met with blank indifference or with blame reproved. I knew they lived and moved, tricked in disguises, alien to the rest of men and alien to themselves. And yet the same heart beats in every human breast. One of my favorite authors is C.S. Lewis, and he talks about how there is this inconsolable longing for we know not what. And I have stood on this stage, whether that be as an actor or in my life, and I've looked at the people in front of me and I've gone, here's my heart. Do you see me? Do you understand me? Do you understand me? Am I beautiful? Do I captivate you? Am I worth something? And the thing is, I'm not looking for just an answer to those questions. I'm looking for an authority on those questions. I need someone to be the answer to those questions, and none of you are. No one is. I've done this to my friends. I've done it to my husband. I've done it to authority figures. I've done it to everyone. And it's like taking my heart and setting it on a stool and then just waiting for someone to kick it and break my heart again. It just, yeah, it's a struggle I'm still going through. And it's as though Jesus came up to me and I was this puppet, like dancing this dark, sadistic dance with this dark, sadistic puppeteer, and he's like making me set myself on fire and cut my own legs off. And Jesus comes up and he sees me and he understands me and he answers my questions and he cuts the strings, and then I'm just a lump of puppet on the ground, dead. Like you found me here today. But then he does something curious. He takes just one string. He takes his heart string and he connects it to my heart. And then I am moving to the rhythm of his heart. So I am not Miss Independent. I am a puppet on a string. And I am dancing for the one who holds me up. In the morning, when I rise, in the morning, when I rise, in the morning, when I rise, give me Jesus, give me Jesus.